Have you ever felt, well, just stuck? Trapped in a job, or maybe a life that you know deep down isn't right for you? This explainer, it's a kind of roadmap for a journey we all have to take at some point. The journey from where you are right now to the person you could truly be.
This is the question that keeps us right where we are, doesn't it? We might be miserable, sure, but hey, it's a familiar misery. The idea of stepping out into the complete unknown, that's terrifying. So we tell ourselves, well, the devil I know is better than the one I don't. But what if that's just a lie we tell ourselves? What if the real danger isn't in taking that risk, but in staying exactly where you are?
So, here's the path we're going to walk together. First, we'll look at the real price of staying put. Then, we're going to get into the critical difference between meaning and happiness. After that, we'll pinpoint our one true competitor and figure out how to confront the chaos that life inevitably throws at us. Then we'll tap into the incredible power of small steps. And finally, discover our very first and most important responsibility.
Okay, let's start right where you are in what we'll call your ordinary world. You might think that staying in that soul-crushing job is, a neutral choice. You're just treading water, right? Surviving. But the truth is, there is a very steep price you are paying every single day you stay put. See, the clock is always ticking. Staying put isn't like hitting a pause button. It's more like an active investment in your own future misery. Think about it. If you're miserable now and you do absolutely nothing to change it, in 1 year, well, you're just going to be more miserable. And in 5 years, you'll be much more miserable and you'll be 5 years older. That right there is the compounding cost of doing nothing. So, what's the alternative? What is this whole journey even for? A lot of people think the goal in life is just to be happy. But honestly, that's a trap. The call to adventure, that little voice telling you to change your life, it's not about pursuing happiness. No, it's about something way deeper, something much more essential.
Let's break it down. Chasing what makes you happy, that's a luxury. It's about doing what's easy, what's expedient. It's about avoiding burdens. But pursuing what you find meaningful, that's different. That's a moral obligation. It absolutely requires sacrifice. It demands that you willingly embrace responsibility, that you decide to pick up a heavy load. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about being good for something.
And that's the key. The path of meaning is supposed to be hard. That's actually what gives it value. We're built for struggle. We are built to contend with the world. You don't actually want to be secure. You want to be strong. And you get strong by taking on challenges, by shouldering a burden that makes the struggle feel worthwhile. All right, so you've decided to pursue meaning. You're ready to start this journey. Now, the first temptation is to immediately look around, right? To see what other people are doing, to measure your chapter 1 against their chapter 20. But that is the wrong game entirely. Your first real test is to look inward. This is it. This is the only competition that is truly fair, and it's the only one you can ever definitively win. You are the only person on earth who has lived your specific life, with your unique set of advantages and disadvantages. So, the only valid person to compete against is the you from yesterday. The goal isn't to be better than someone else. It's just to be a little bit better than you were. But how do you actually do that? Well, it starts with a little humility. First, you have to identify a flaw. Just admit, hey, I'm not so great in this one area. Second, and this is crucial, set the bar low. I mean, really low. Don't aim for some glorious, massive victory. Pick a tiny goal you absolutely know you can achieve. Third, just aim to be 1% better. And finally, the most important part, repeat. You just do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. And when you're doing this, you're competing against what we can call your lesser self. So what's that? It's that part of you that gets bitter and resentful when things go wrong. It's the part that's aggressive, that seeks vengeance. It's that voice in your head that blames everyone else for your problems. That is the dragon you're trying to slay, one small, humble step at a time.
Now, this path is not some smooth, straight line upwards. Let's be real. The apocalypse is always just around the corner. Crisis is inevitable. You will get sick, or someone you love will get sick. A dream you've had your whole life will fall apart. This is the ordeal. This is where the real test of your character truly lies.
There are times in life, and maybe you've been here, where the tragedy is just so overwhelming that you can't even think about the future. The pain of the present is just all-consuming. So how do you possibly cope with something like that? The strategy for getting through an absolutely unbearable crisis is actually profoundly simple. You shorten your time frame. You bring your attention down to a scale that you can actually manage.
Because when the future is completely unthinkable, the only place you can operate is right here, right now.
So if you can't figure out how to get through the next month, forget it. Just focus on getting through this week. And if that's too much, just focus on today. And if even the thought of getting through the next 24 hours is impossible, then your only goal is to get through the next hour. And if you can't even do that, your task is just to get through the next minute. You keep narrowing your focus until the world becomes manageable again.
And this leads to an absolutely profound realization. Life is tragic. Suffering is, in some ways, built into the very fabric of existence. But there is a massive, massive difference between tragedy and hell. Tragedy is when terrible things happen to you. Hell is when we make those terrible things even worse through our own bitterness, our resentment, our malevolence. You might not be able to stop tragedy, but you absolutely have the power to not make it hell.
So whether you're climbing out of a deep crisis or you're just trying to leave that miserable job, the path forward is actually the same. It's not built with giant leaps. It's built with tiny, consistent, courageous steps. This is the road back.
The goal is so humble. It is not about transforming yourself overnight. It's about being just 1% better. That's it. Can you be 1% better today than you were yesterday? That's the whole goal. And you know what? That's heroic.
And this is where the magic of compounding kicks in. A small, achievable step today doesn't just move you forward today. It puts you on a slightly higher platform, which makes it possible to take a slightly bigger step tomorrow. And that step, in turn, puts you in a position to take an even bigger one the day after. So check this out. This is what happens when you get just 1% better every single day for 2 years. You don't just end up 730% better. No, you become almost 1,400% better. The progress isn't a straight line, it's exponential. That is the astonishing, life-altering power of small, consistent steps. You do that for a few years, and you won't even recognize the person you used to be.
So what does this kind of heroism actually look like in real life? It's not slaying a literal dragon. It's making your bed. It's finally deciding to update that resume. It's overcoming your fear of going to that job interview. It's sharpening a skill. It's just taking care of what's right in front of you. The act itself might seem small, but the decision to aim up, to choose order over chaos, that is heroic.
And this brings us to the end of our journey. After confronting all that chaos and taking the long road back, the hero returns with something called an elixir, a piece of wisdom to share with the world. And that wisdom, that ultimate reward, is found in the very thing we so often try to avoid.
Here's the ultimate lesson. A meaningful life is not built on what you are owed. It is not found in chasing some fleeting pleasure. It is built on what you are willing to carry. You find meaning when you take responsibility for yourself first. And when you get good at that, you can start to take responsibility for your family. And if you master that, you can take responsibility for your community. You find the heaviest burden you can possibly carry, and you discover it's not a curse. It's the very thing that sustains you.
And that leaves us with one final, very personal question. Forget about solving all your problems at once. Just think about this. What is one thing that you are doing right now that you know is wrong? Something you could actually realistically stop doing today. It might be small, but just stop doing it and see what happens. That is your first step on the hero's path.